Greetings, this is This and I'm me, and today we have the Hanayama news puzzle. Also, you might think of it as like the compass puzzle because it has north, south, east, and west, or news. In my experience, there are two types of Hanayama puzzles. There are the types that are very intricate in the sense that there's a lot of different steps that you have to take to either take it apart or put it back together. And then there are the ones that have one trick movement that you need to do, one trick piece that you need to find, something like that. And this, I will say, first and foremost, falls into that trick category. So at first glance, it seems very impossible to do anything with. You know, you get no movement from it. It reminded me initially of the Hanayama square, I believe it was called, the Hanayama square puzzle, in the sense that it was very like sturdy and blocky. But with that one, you could at least do a movement. This one, you feel as if you can't move anything. It's locked into place. If you shake it, you can hear a little something. So you know that there's something going on the interior, right? But it's like, what do? I can't move it at all. So to start, I always like to try and make sure that people have the best chance at figuring it out on their own as they can before they go looking for a solution. So I'm going to give you guys not one hint, but 3, or even maybe you'd consider it 4 hints to try first before you just watch and listen to how it's actually done. The first hint that I will give you is the hint that Hanayama gives you, like that the puzzle packaging will give you. I know, if you didn't know, usually these puzzles, there is a keyword hint that they give you. And so for this one, I don't remember exactly. It's either needle or pin. Okay? So there's your first hint. Now, if you've already thought about that and you're like, yeah, obviously I get that. I know what they mean by that hint. Then let me tell you the next hint, which is probably fairly easy as well, but compass. Okay? The next hint is compass, and you can pair that with the first hint of needle, a needle on a compass. And now think about a compass, okay? Think about how it operates and or what it does and or how you would handle a compass, okay? Think about things like that and try it a little more, then come back if you're still stuck. Hint number 3 is spin. Okay, I know this is a pretty big hint, but we're running out of options because there is really very few movements in order to finish this puzzle. So if you're still stuck, your hint is spin. Now, for everyone that is like, get over it, I'm done with the hints, I've tried it, here's the last final quote unquote 4th hint. Because I knew all of those things and I still couldn't figure it out. I knew about the needle hint. I knew that it was supposed to like look like a compass. I was like holding it like this, like, you know, you would a compass. I'm thinking of it as being a compass with a needle. And I had even tried to spin it, and I'll show you what I mean by spinning it in a second, and it still didn't work. So my last final hint to you is think about the surface. I know. That might seem odd because normally all you need to do a Hanayama puzzle are your hands. You don't need anything else. And for a while I was thinking that I would need an extra tool for this puzzle, a tool of some sorts, a needle maybe, or a pin. And I thought that that was really weird because normally the Hanayama puzzles, they just have, you just need to use your hands. This one is a bit different. I mean, maybe you can still just use your hands, but I believe you need a surface to work on. And depending on the surface that you're working on, you might have less success. So that is my final hint is maybe try different surfaces. Okay, now for the actual solution. It's quite simple in terms of steps. Set it down on a flat surface. Spin it. I would spin it clockwise if you want to, go by actual instructions. Now you want to make sure that you have it pointing with north facing up. You can go other directions, but for the sake of the tutorial, just make it so the north is facing up. Now very carefully flip it over. don't tip it from side to side when you flip it over. Okay, very carefully flip it over. And you're going to spin it again. Same direction as you did before, so clockwise. I mean, for the sake of the tutorial, okay, I'll put north pointing up. But really, we're done here. Now, if you just lift these, it should come apart. Now, as you'll notice, it didn't come apart for me. That is not a mistake. That is an example of the surface that you're working on. The first time I tried this puzzle, I had a rather rough seeming surface to work on, and so I had a mouse pad here. And it's got a very like smooth, it's not fabric mouse pad. It has a very smooth surface to it. I did the same tactic here. I spun it, I flipped it over carefully, and I spun it again, and it didn't come apart. Then, in frustration, I removed the mouse pad to try other surfaces. And not this desk, but the other desk that I have is very rough. And it worked perfectly then. Now, I know it will work on this white surface, but this is closer to the texture of my mouse pad. It's smoother. And so that's why I say check the surface that you're working on, because it can be rather finicky and not, it cannot want to work every time. Okay, but then there you go. If you actually get a successful spin, you can take the puzzle apart. And so if anyone sort of, like if you've seen the solution and you couldn't figure out what you were doing wrong, it could have to do with the surface. You know, you didn't get a good enough spin there, but so switch surfaces, or like just try a second time and maybe it will work. And then that's it. You have two pieces. Now, as you look inside, you can see that there is a long pin here that will like fall sort of down. So now if I try to spin a singular piece, even though it spins a lot, it doesn't put the pieces back towards their respective sides as easily, because the pins are drooping down here. See how the pin is drooping down? When it's within the puzzle, that's not happening. And so in order to put it back together, you just have to make sure that that pin is on that side. And if I move this down here, you can see there's a pin that comes out of that side as well. Just want to make sure that both pins are back to the sides that they need to be on. The same over here. It's easier if you have long nails like I do, and you can just like sort of grab it and push it over. But yeah, and then you can just do the same thing where you very carefully move it without letting the pins slide out. Put it back together, and then if you just move it around at all, it locks everything back into place. So very simple solution and very simple reassembly, as long as you have the correct surface. Now, if you're really stuck and you're like, I just want to see the thing in two pieces, I don't care about doing it the right way, there is a bit of a hack you can do. If you're very careful and you really like can maneuver at least one, like if you look closely, you can get like your phone flashlight or something, and you can look really closely at one of these pins in here. You can see that you've maneuvered it so that at least one side is clear, quote unquote clear, so that the pin is not there. Then take a thin piece of paper and slide it into place in this crevice so that it will hold the pin from falling back towards the center. Then you can move and you can work on a different side and like jiggle. And when you have the pin like not in the gap, put a piece of paper on that side as well. Then you can flip over and you can work on the other side and do the same thing there. And then you'll be able to take it apart. So you can use some paper as a bit of a hack to hold the pins in place if you can't seem to get the spinning maneuver to work. But the spinning is the key here, except remember to spin twice, and remember you need to flip it vertically. Then you spin again. And you have to spin it harder than I am, but I'm working in a very cramped space. So yeah, that's the key, is the spin and the surface that you're working on. I can do the spins and it works almost every single time. Well, I think it has worked every single time. When I was using a slightly rougher surface than this surface, it works about 50% of the time, and the mouse pad, I never got it to work properly on that. So there you have it. Hanayama news. Fairly simple once you know what it is. And thank you guys so much for watching. Bye-bye now.